Life is tough, but God is good. Keep trusting Him. He is making a way for you. My precious brothers and sisters, I want to begin by asking you a question that reaches into the deepest places of the human heart. Have you ever walked through a season where it felt like life was pressing you from every side, yet somehow a small whisper inside kept saying, "Hold on, God is not finished with you yet"? If you have ever felt that, you are in the right place today. Because life is tough. Life can break your expectations, delay your dreams, and test your strength. Life can strip you of what you thought you needed. But even when life is tough, God is still good. And that truth alone has the power to carry you through storms you never imagined surviving. I remember once meeting a young man whose life looked like it had collapsed in a single year. He lost his job, lost his relationship, lost the friends he trusted, and lost his confidence. When he came to me, he said, "Pastor, I don't even know how to pray anymore. I feel blind in the dark." I took his hand and said, "My son, God does His greatest work in the dark. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees the fruit. You are not buried. You are planted." And today, I share the same truth with you. God is making a way for you, even in the places where you see no path. He is working behind the curtain, arranging what you cannot yet understand. He is preparing blessings that require patience. He is shaping you through pressures that feel too heavy. He is teaching you to trust Him, not because He is silent, but because He is building your spirit. Now, let us walk together through a journey. 7 powerful movements of the heart. Each one a river flowing into the next. Each one a chapter in the story of becoming unshakable. This is not a list. This is a progression, a spiritual rising, a deepening, a transformation. When life breaks you, God holds you. There are seasons in life when the weight on your chest feels heavier than the breath in your lungs. Moments when nothing around you seems stable, nothing within you feels strong, and nothing ahead of you looks clear. These are the moments when life breaks you, not gently, not slowly, but suddenly, fiercely, and without warning. One unexpected phone call, one closed door, one betrayal, one loss, one disappointment that hits so deeply it changes how you breathe. And in that fragile, painful moment, you begin to feel like you are slipping through your own fingers. You wonder if God still sees you, still hears you, still remembers you. You ask questions you never thought you would ask. Why me? Why this? Why now? Lord, where are you in all of this? But what you must understand is that God does some of His most powerful work in the places where you feel the most broken. Pain does not scare Him. Tears do not push Him away. Confusion does not offend Him. When life breaks you, He does not step back. He steps closer. He does not run from your weakness. He runs into it. He does not criticize your struggle. He comforts it. You may feel like you are falling apart, but in the unseen realms of the Spirit, God is holding every piece of you with a strength you cannot comprehend. Life's breaking points are not signs of divine abandonment. They are invitations for divine intervention. When everything around you collapses, you are forced to confront what truly holds you together. And often, it is in the breaking that you discover that God was the foundation under your feet the entire time. You just didn't realize it until everything else was shaken. Think of a seed buried in the soil. It is pressed down, covered, hidden, and surrounded by darkness. If the seed had emotions, it would feel buried alive. It would interpret the soil as punishment, the darkness as rejection, the pressure as suffocation. But the truth is that the burial is not the seed's end. It is the seed's beginning. What looks like burial is actually planting. What feels like pressure is actually preparation. What seems like the end is actually the birthplace of growth. And the same is true for you. When life breaks you, when the ground above you feels too heavy, when the darkness around you feels endless, when you feel forgotten or buried, heaven is whispering, you are not buried, you are planted. The soil is not there to destroy you, It is there to transform you. Pressure does not crush the seed. It activates it. Darkness does not kill the seed. It awakens it. And the breaking you feel is not your death. It is your becoming. Every person who has ever walked in God's purpose has been broken at some point in their journey. Moses was broken in the wilderness before he became a deliverer. Joseph was broken in the pit and prison before he stepped into the palace. David was broken in caves before he wore the crown. Even Jesus himself was broken on the cross before he was resurrected in glory. So why should it surprise you that God is shaping you through brokenness? Why should it shock you that the pain you hate is producing the strength you prayed for? Why should it confuse you that the season you want to escape is the very season God is using to build you? When life breaks you, something holy happens inside. Your pride begins to soften. Your spirit begins to surrender. Your prayers become real, raw, and honest. You begin to lean on God, not because you want to, but because you have to. And in that place of surrender, God meets you with compassion instead of criticism, with mercy instead of judgment, with grace instead of distance. You may not understand it today, but you will look back one day and say, if life had not broken me, I would have never discovered how deeply God loved me. If life had not shattered me, I would have never known how powerfully God could restore me. If life had not crushed me, I would have never learned how tenderly God could hold me. Your brokenness is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of God's rebuilding. And even now, yes, right now, God is holding you together in ways you cannot see, cannot feel, and cannot yet understand. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. God is holding you, and He will not let you fall. When delay feels like denial, God is developing something within you. There are few experiences in life more painful, more frustrating, and more emotionally draining than waiting. Waiting tests the heart in ways storms never can. Because storms come suddenly, but waiting stretches slowly. Storms hit and pass, but waiting lingers, presses, and pulls. And sometimes, the hardest moments are not the moments when everything falls apart, but the moments when nothing is happening at all. You pray, but nothing changes. You sow seeds, but see no harvest. You knock on doors, but none can open. You believe, you hope, you try, but life seems stuck on pause. You tell yourself, maybe tomorrow, but tomorrow looks exactly like today. And slowly, silently, the enemy begins to whisper, maybe God is not listening. Maybe God said no. Maybe God forgot you. Maybe God changed His mind. Maybe what you're waiting for is never coming. And if you are not careful, delay begins to feel like denial. But hear this truth deep in your spirit. God's delay is not God's denial. God is never late. God is never confused. God is never hesitant. If He is making you wait, it is not because He is withholding something from you. It is because He is preparing something within you. Waiting is not wasted. Waiting is working. Waiting is not empty. Waiting is eventful in the unseen realm. Waiting is not punishment. Waiting is preparation. Think of a child who wants to drive a car at age 10. The parent is not denying the child the joy of driving. The parent is waiting for the right time because the child is not ready. In the same way, God often withholds gifts, blessings, opportunities, and breakthroughs not because He doesn't want you to have them, but because He loves you too deeply to give you what you are not yet prepared to carry. Sometimes the blessing is ready, but the person is not. Sometimes the calling is ready, but the character is not. Sometimes the opportunity is ready, but the maturity is not. And so God, in His perfect wisdom, delays the blessing so He can develop the vessel. He stretches your patience, deepens your faith, shapes your thinking, strengthens your spirit, and clears your path. You see delay as a barrier, but God sees delay as a classroom. A classroom where you learn the lessons that elevation will require. A classroom where God empties you of fear, pride, impulsiveness, and insecurity. A classroom where He teaches you obedience, humility, resilience, and discernment. Consider Joseph. God showed him a dream of greatness, but he did not fulfill it immediately. Joseph had to wait in a pit. He had to wait in slavery. He had to wait in prison. Not days, not months, years. And for a long time, it looked like his dream was dying. But the truth was the opposite. His dream was maturing. His character was deepening. His heart was being shaped, because the throne was ready, but Joseph needed to be prepared to handle the throne. Think of Abraham. God promised him a son, but then made him wait 25 years. Why? Because God wasn't just giving him a child. God was building him into the father of nations. God was teaching him trust, faithfulness, perseverance, and obedience. God was shaping the man who would carry the covenant of generations. Every delay has a divine purpose. Every pause has a spiritual reason. Every waiting season has invisible progress. Sometimes God is aligning the right people. Sometimes God is preparing the right environment. Sometimes God is clearing the wrong relationships. Sometimes God is maturing your emotional capacity. Sometimes God is protecting you from something you cannot yet see. And sometimes God is simply teaching you how to rely on Him alone. Waiting creates spiritual vision. During waiting seasons, your physical eyes see nothing happening, but your spiritual eyes begin to see God's hand more clearly. Waiting purifies your motives. Because if you can still worship without the blessing, if you can still believe without the evidence, if you can still trust without the outcome, then your faith has become genuine, not transactional, but transformational. And let me tell you something powerful. When God finally moves after a long delay, He moves suddenly. The God who takes His time in preparing you is the same God who accelerates your destiny in a single moment. When the door opens, it will open quickly. When the blessing arrives, it will arrive fully. When the season shifts, it will shift completely. One divine moment will make sense of every waiting season. So if you are in a place of delay today, do not lose heart. You are not forgotten. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. God is developing patience in your spirit, strength in your heart, clarity in your mind, and resilience in your soul. And when He is finished, what He brings into your life will not crush you. It will carry you into purpose. Delay is not denial. Delay is development. Delay is preparation. Delay is divine timing. And in God's perfect time, He will release what He has prepared. And you will look back and say, "The waiting made me ready." When you feel weak, God's strength rises in you. There comes a time in every person's life when strength fails. Not because you are irresponsible, not because you lack faith, not because you are spiritually immature, but simply because you are human. Even the strongest hearts grow tired. Even the bravest individuals feel fear. Even the most faithful believers reach moments where their hands shake, their voices tremble, and their courage seems far away. These moments don't expose your lack of spirituality. They reveal your need for God. We live in a world that glorifies strength, independence, and self-sufficiency. Society tells you to hold everything together, stay strong at all times, hide your tears, suppress your struggles, and pretend that everything is fine. But the truth is that pretending to be strong does not make you strong. It makes you exhausted. Because real strength is not found in the refusal to break. It is found in the willingness to lean on God when you do. When you feel weak, when your heart feels heavy, when your spirit feels crushed, God does not condemn you for it. He draws near to you. Scripture tells us, "My power is made perfect in weakness," not in your achievements, not in your performance, not in your confidence, but in your weakness. The very part of yourself you consider inadequate, the very part you try to hide, the very part you wish you could overcome. God steps into those places with strength you cannot manufacture. Your weakness is not an obstacle to God. It is an invitation for Him to work. Think about the moments when you prayed your most honest prayers. Were they during times of success or times of weakness? It is often in the lowest valleys that your prayers become real, raw, and vulnerable. When life overwhelms you, your heart opens in ways that comfort rarely allows. You cry out not to impress God, but because you need Him. You seek Him not out of routine, but out of desperation. And in that moment, heaven moves. Weakness breaks the illusion of self-reliance. It reminds you that you are not meant to carry life alone. It forces you to confront the truth that you need a strength greater than your own. The strength of God. And His strength is not like human strength. It does not run out, does not waver, does not grow tired. It is endless, timeless, supernatural, and deeply personal. When you feel weak, God begins to do a holy work inside you. He strengthens what life tried to weaken. He rebuilds what pain tried to destroy. He restores what fear tried to steal. But God does not always strengthen you by removing the battle. Sometimes He strengthens you by shaping you within the battle. Look at David. Before he ever faced Goliath publicly, he faced lions and bears privately. God did not stop the lions from coming. God did not remove the bears. Instead, God gave David the strength to overcome them. David didn't grow stronger because the threats disappeared. He grew stronger because God empowered him through them. Look at Paul. He prayed 3 times for the thorn in his flesh to be removed. God did not remove it. Instead, God responded, "My grace is sufficient for you." Paul wanted relief, but God wanted transformation. The thorn became the place where Paul discovered divine strength. His weakness became his testimony. Look at Jesus. In the Garden of Gethsemane, even the Son of God felt the weight of weakness. His soul was overwhelmed to the point of death. He cried out, he wept, he wrestled with the Father's will. But in that moment of human frailty, heaven strengthened him, angels ministered to him, the Father fortified him, and Jesus walked out of that garden ready to fulfill his destiny. Not because he felt stronger, but because God strengthened him. God's strength does not always look like the absence of struggle. Sometimes it looks like peace in the middle of chaos. Sometimes it looks like courage you didn't know you had. Sometimes it looks like the ability to keep walking when everything in you wants to sit down and quit. Sometimes it looks like getting out of bed when your heart is heavy. Sometimes it looks like saying, "God, I don't know how, but I trust you." Your weakness is not a failure, it is a doorway. When you feel like you can't keep going, that's when God carries you. When you feel like you don't have enough, that's when God provides. When you feel like breaking, that's when God holds you together. You do not have to be strong all the time. You only have to be willing to let God be strong in you. And here is the beauty: when God strengthens you, people notice. Not because you boast, not because you shine, but because you stand in ways you should not be able to stand. You endure what should have broken you. You smile when you should have collapsed. You rise when circumstances tell you to fall. Your life becomes evidence of a power that is not yours. A power rooted in heaven. So when you feel weak today, lift your head. You are in the perfect position for God to reveal His strength. You may feel empty, but God is ready to fill you. You may feel tired, but God is ready to renew you. You may feel fragile, but God is ready to fortify you. Let His strength rise within you. Let His power rest upon you. Let His presence carry you. Because your weakness is not the end. It is the beginning of God's greatest work in your life.